Recording?
Yep.
So this is the episode that we have as 13's agenda.
14.
Sorry, 14. Episode 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. Alan, what's up?
What is up, my friend? How's it going?
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Things are groovy today?
Things are groovy.
Yeah.
You know, it is late.
Yeah.
It is late. We record typically after work,
Yeah.
after things. So,
Yeah.
but I will rise to the occasion. I'm feeling good. But it was a long day at work. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're working people that are also doing this. So,
Yep.
but I actually was looking forward to coming tonight. So,
Yeah, good.
you know, I got to get my energy level up.
Yep.
Let
Do
me
a few
just
jumping jacks.
Sit straight. I'm ready. You know what I realized as I was preparing for this show?
Uh-huh.
That we didn't do an agenda
On
or
the last
like
episode?
the last episode.
Yeah.
We just went straight into the debate.
I think we just dove right in.
Yeah. So anyways, I apologize profusely because I think when people are listening in the beginning, they have no idea what's going to be coming.
Yeah. Well, that kept it, fresh.
So anyways, once again, I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And we are the hosts of Dudes to Dads podcast.
Yes.
So today I will give you an agenda.
Okay, perfect.
We're going to start off and we're bringing it back, the battlefield.
Okay.
Yeah, talking
another
about
battle.
Well, it's always about battling, and when we have children, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But this one's about sibling arguments.
Okay.
Yes. So getting into the battlefield with that.
Right.
And then we will go into stuff to do. And something, I like to give tips and hints of things that, and usually with most of these situations, I've either experienced them,
Okay.
I know somebody's experienced them,
Yeah.
or I never want to experience them. That was on the battlefield, sorry. On stuff to do, these are things that I have done or I want to do. So
Sure.
And I think we've got another debate for today. You and I,
Okay.
when we call it a debate, a lot of it is just a good
Discussion.
Good
yeah.
discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
It might not be necessarily disagreeing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like when you get in a fight with your significant other, you call it a debate. We're not
not a
arguing.
fight.
It's a debate.
Debating rational points, which I'm always right about.
Right. So we'll do a debate. Okay. And this one's about something this is for the girls, the little if you have a daughter.
Yep.
And some age-appropriate things.
Right.
Or when is the age appropriate?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And then we're going to go into Dad's homework. We're going to give you a little homework assignment. Mm-hmm. And I think actually the homework assignment will tie in to the following segment called Light Her Fire, which the dad's homework is for your children, yet the Light Her Fire segment is really about your significant other.
Okay.
So I tied that all in together in preparation, just, I'm learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm learning how to tie these things together.
That's great. I love it.
And we'll finish with a famous Henry Ford quote.
Oh.
In fact, I remember this quote was
Do you?
in school up on one of the classrooms.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
That's
so
really.
I came across it the other day. I'm like, I know that quote.
Geez, they just crammed
it was
propaganda
good.
down.
Yeah, it's a good quote and it's been around for a while. So
cool.
All right, so let's get started. The battlefield. So today's battlefield is about siblings arguing.
Yeah.
So here's a scenario. My daughter. Well, I mean, this happens in every house, but I'm just gonna make the scenario as if it was my kids.
Okay.
So my kids are playing together, and they actually play really well together.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that way.
Yeah.
But one of them, and let's just say it's my daughter. My son will do the same thing. Comes whining to me, or complaining, or crying, or something that the other one just did something.
Okay.
He blah 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 blah.
Right.
He's not doing blah blah. Whatever. In most situations, us as parents go, hey, stop doing that. Let's say it was my daughter who came up. We'd say, hey, son, stop doing that to your sister.
Right.
Play nice and blah, 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 and move on.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in my house.
Okay.
So, and I was taught this. This is something I was taught because innately, we respond, in my opinion, incorrectly. I realized I was responding incorrectly.
Okay.
That response of like, hey, stop doing that to your sister makes her the victim.
Right.
So she knows that she can tell on her brother, come over to me and complain, or my wife complain, and then she becomes this victim. Like, he's doing this to me.
And it's like there's no recourse.
And there's no resolution
No
either.
resolution. And also,
other than
you don't
he
really
gets in
know
trouble.
how they even got to that point.
Right. So we all do this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is how we were brought up. This is how everybody, most people parent. And I was taught these sort of lessons and skills. And the idea is you actually do the opposite of what you would think. Now, I don't necessarily get my daughter, if she's the one coming up, she doesn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I basically allow them to solve it, and instead saying, listen, okay, it sounds like something's going on here. You guys are very capable. How do you think you can solve this?
Right.
Or it's, hey, well, have you talked to your brother first about this?
Yeah.
So that it's not, so that they're learning how to solve the problem.
Right.
They're not coming to me or my wife to solve all their problems.
Yeah.
And certainly, so it was funny the other day, my son actually came in the morning and he's like, she's doing blah, blah, blah. And he was complaining about something. I said, oh, well, then I've got to go find her and get her in trouble. And he looked at me and he's just like, what? That's not what I wanted to do. I said, well, don't you think I should just, that's why you came in here to tell me, was so that I could really get her in trouble.
Yeah.
He's like, no. So, kind of playing that funny card. And so I think, that's something to think about, is that when you do have these siblings, of course, one is probably, stronger than the other or more dominant than the other, if you have to.
Especially if they're by age groups. Like you have a
age
couple
groups,
years,
whatever.
It usually means
and so it's you're always like, leave your little brother alone, or leave your little sister alone,
right?
Or stop pestering your older brother, or stop, whatever. And instead allowing them to solve it and just saying, listen, that doesn't sound like that's a good thing, or that. How are you going to fix that?
Right.
And then you're allowing them to do it. So a lot of times when they come to us, we just say, oh, have you talked to him about that? Have you talked to her about that? How are you going to solve it? It's asking the question. It's not me, well, here, do this, do that, and that'll solve it. So, and it goes back to a lot of the stuff we've talked in previous ones about allowing them to solve their own problems.
Yeah.
And just, learning.
Yeah.
Learning to be people.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a because sometimes you get into like physical altercations.
Well, even in that situation, the physical altercations, you break them up. At least this is what I was taught, is, you break them up and you sort of get down on their level. And a lot of it you have to put on yourself and saying, listen, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
This doesn't work.
Right.
How do we solve this? I understand you're upset and this, but this doesn't seem to be working. How can we make this work?
Right.
And the kids are smart, and usually they come up with some. When I first did this and I saw it work, I just was amazed. And you've got to be strict, and it doesn't necessarily. It's not always perfect.
Sure.
And you're not ever always perfect. You always forget. You're like, stop it. You stop doing that to your brother. It happens all the time.
Sure.
But the idea of not allowing any one of your children, if you have multiple children, to be a victim by the other, and to allow that to happen, instead saying, hey, I think you can solve it. How do you think you're going to solve it?
Yeah. So, no, I like that. I didn't grow up with siblings. I have siblings. They would like kind of on both sides. It was like half siblings.
Right.
But I didn't grow up with them. So I don't really know how to debate. I was kind of more reclusive. I was the only child growing up, technically speaking.
Yeah, sure.
So it's interesting to hear, because I have friends that have siblings, and sometimes they really get along with their siblings.
Right.
And then other friends that just completely hate each other.
Yeah. No, we're really lucky that our kids get along. They're really good friends. And so, they're going to have squabbles. And I think as they get older, that's going to, it's going to be maybe a little more, a little more squabbles. I hope not as much, but so all you can do is kind of teach them how to solve their own problems, and to do that. So that's that's the battlefield.
Yeah, cool.
There's always something going on the battlefield.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's go into stuff to do. So for stuff to do, what I'm asking is to attend a class taught by your child.
Okay.
So what this means is you find something that your child does or maybe enjoys, and then you ask them to teach a class about it.
Okay.
So you actually allow them and say, hey, listen, I'll give you an example actually. So my daughter loves, she calls it playing family, and she has these babies that like she dresses up.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I might say in this situation is say, how do you play family? Like, how does that work? And she will be more than happy to tell me how playing family works. I said, you know what? Could you teach me and teach a class for me on how this works? And you'd be amazed at like their self-esteem and like how they just love the idea that they're teaching you something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating to watch the look on their face, like of wonderment. Like, oh, I'm teaching my dad how to do this.
Yeah. He doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Wow.
And even if they said like, no, but I don't know how to do it how you do it.
Right.
And so you just say, I'm not familiar with how to play it. How do you dress up the baby like that? Can you teach me? Mm-hmm. And it's basically just asking questions and acting stupid that that you really don't know any of these answers.
Sure.
And you allow them to teach, whether you give them a little pointer and stand up and like be sit back or whatever. But you'd be amazed, like I said, is how much this like sort of fills their cup, and they just they eat it up.
Yeah.
They really do. It's funny to watch, and I have done this. I've done this in various aspects.
Yeah.
In fact, my kids had this. Like school, it was actually not a box, but it was like a school. I don't even know how to explain it. Like this fold over thing that opened up, and like all in it was all kinds of school related things,
sure,
like class stuff and a
ruler,
and questions and all these things. And so one of the things they would do is like, hey, let's play school. And I said, okay, but you're going to be the teacher. I don't I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny, like those kinds of situations where they, because you're always the one telling them what to do and how to do it.
Roles are reversed.
Yeah, and it's just a total role reversal, and it's fun. It's really
I think
fun
that's the part I'm gonna like about having kids, because then they can show me all their little stuff. Yeah. And then I can
jump into their world.
Yeah, then I can almost regress back into my childhood and be like, I remember when I used to think that too. These action figures or whatever it is they're into now. You know? So that sounds fun.
No, absolutely. So yeah, that's a cool thing to do. It's a cool thing to do.
Cool.
So we got a debate for today. Let's
get
into a dad's debate. So this came up because my daughter loves wearing, like, putting on nail polish.
She's 6.
I know. No, she's 4.
She's 4.
Yeah.
Even weirder.
And it's funny because my wife is not someone who's like always wearing makeup and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's influenced from gifts of relatives and things like that. Like she'll get a little nail polish thing, or she'll get like a lipstick or something like that. So the debate is, what age is appropriate for a girl to wear makeup? I want to get your thoughts on that.
Okay. That's a tough one. There's the part, as I said, it would be cool to play with the kids in the previous segment. The part where they get to be like the age where I think this is appropriate is probably going to be the hardest part. And
so a lot of people, because a lot of people
it's
will say, hey, let's say high school.
High school age.
And then it's like, what kind of makeup?
Oh,
and because usually it's what we think that makeup represents, and we usually think of makeup as meaning, hey, it's somebody being older and mature.
Right, right. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I just feel like once they get to high school, they're in that teenage stage. I can't.
But that's hard. That's hard to think that, a junior high girl, you got to think.
Yeah.
12, 13.
That's weird to me. Like
wearing makeup?
That's weird.
Elementary school, you've got to think about it.
That's even weirder.
I know.
And to be honest with you, I prefer girls not wearing makeup most of the time, unless they're.
But they're not wearing it for that,
right? Yeah, that's what I mean.
So here's my take on it, because I don't know that I have an answer, but I'm going to have to deal with this.
You will, yeah.
One of the things I'd certainly welcome any feedback on this. I think if people have any comments or questions, it'd be great. So
podcast at dudesadads.com.
Absolutely, and Twitter.
And Twitter at Dudes
to Dads. I think. Because I will have to deal with it. But one of the things I was thinking about is I'm very conscious about making my daughter feel good on the inside.
Yes.
About who she is. Doesn't have to impress anybody. Doesn't, so, and especially for a daughter, how she feels about herself is largely influenced, very big influence, from her dad.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you know that from your dating, from the dating world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Good
totally.
or bad.
Yeah.
And so, that definitely has an impact. So the idea of, reiterating to a daughter saying, it doesn't, because here's a common thing. My daughter will say, doesn't this dress look pretty? Because, everybody will say, that's a pretty dress. That's a pretty, And instead of saying, well, yes, you say, well, it really doesn't matter what kind of dress you have. I think you're pretty on the inside, and it's those little comments, like saying that over and over and over again. It was funny. My daughter actually came up to me once and said, hey, Dad, do you like this dress? She goes, I know I look good on the inside, or I look good inside no matter what, but do you like the dress? And I was like, it's a nice dress. Okay,
like,
fine.
all right, I get the
you
hint.
get it. I mean, I think she was probably 3.5 or so. And
She's
so,
already tired of hearing it.
yeah, she's already got it. And so,
I got it, Dad. I'm pretty on the inside.
I know.
But
I have good self-esteem, but I still want to know if this is a
Can't
pretty
flip
dress.
me inside out, so I need to know what this dress
There's some
looks like.
princess dress or something, which, forget it. Don't
And
get
that's
me
the
started
thing. You
with
kind of
that.
have you do want to instill that confidence, but I do think that there's going to be peer pressure.
Of course.
There's going to be those external factors, and you teach them how to be confident with themselves, but you also going to have to deal with this because it's just one of those.
Well,
things
that's why I
that
said
come
about
up.
the reasons why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like for my daughter, she just loves lipstick and nails, and I don't think it's an idea that like. Maybe she feels older. I don't know if it's like, I only
old
feel
soul.
pretty. Yeah, well, no, I only feel pretty when I wear this. I don't know what it is, but you want to make sure that that's not what they're feeling.
Yeah.
That they're getting that sort of input elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it has a lot to do with what the child is doing it for. And maybe it's important to find that out.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably the most.
And I
important
think
part.
there are some standard, probably overwhelmingly sort of not statistics probably too, but the idea that when they're this age they should probably do this.
Sure.
When they're this age it's okay to do this, but those ages are changing, man. I mean,
Well, I know they get younger and younger when they start
Yeah.
developing quicker, and like now that this and there's so much media out there they have access to.
Right.
So that's the thing too, is like they get on the internet and see a million different things.
the tweens and all the stuff about what they're doing. So I'm a little scared about that. I may need some help. I will reach out to people with daughters that have been through this.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is I have one of them is going to be through the same thing, but I have a sister who has an older daughter, so I can tap in to figure out how to how to deal with this, because she's a 13, 14-year-old.
Oh.
And so that's the age that you start dealing with a lot of that stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And friends, I mean, just to hit them up, because
or YouTube,
That's true. I could YouTube it. Right on.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little dad's homework. So dad's homework for this episode ties into, we're going to hear some stuff about being negative on Light Her Fire, but this is really for the kids. So the idea is, we send a lot of negative messages. We say things, and sometimes we don't even realize we're being negative.
Sure,
and I actually am guilty of this.
Uh-huh.
I know you would never think that, but no, really, I think this is something that I definitely need to work on, and it's being positive. I don't even necessarily being positive, but when you have something negative to say, don't say anything at all,
Yeah.
And so one of the things is for 1 week, what I'm saying is anytime you're going to criticize, and I think we actually did something similar to this before, where anytime you're going to criticize or judge your child, write it down instead of saying it.
Yeah.
So you still get to get it out,
Yep.
but you just write it down instead.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you'll see how this ties into the Light Her Fire episode, because I think, while this could be good for a spouse, this is really good, or, anybody, it's really good for your kids. And so you'll find yourself when you're about to be critical and saying, well, you can't do that, or why are you doing this? Or, questioning them in some way about that and being critical about it or negative. Just write it down and keep yourself from saying it.
Yeah,
So-
that makes sense. And then you can see how it looks
Right.
to some degree. Be
Well,
like,
and even something little where, let's say, I talked about the cleaning the room, and I said, "Gosh, why are you always so messy?"
You're
I mean,
filthy.
but that's a negative statement.
It is, yeah.
That's not a positive thing to say to a child.
Yeah,
And
right.
so I definitely find myself doing those kind and saying those kinds of things
Sure.
where I got to be careful that doesn't impact the child.
Sure,
In
sure.
a certain, granted, you have a good enough relationship and self-esteem and everything else to push the positive stuff, but you got to be careful. You're saying those negative statements. I could probably phrase it a different way. I could probably just not even say it.
Right.
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 Just, gosh, this room is a mess.
Yeah.
Is a better way of saying it versus you're so messy.
Yeah, I've learned that even in relationships, like saying that, hey, you're being this right now.
Right.
Instead of saying you're this or you're this way all the time. It's like, I don't like what you're doing right now. It's
Right.
more appropriate to say that because it's basically
Bad choices.
You're making some bad choices right now that are causing me discomfort.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we the homework is to do that for 1 week. Anytime you're going to say something,
Carry a pad and pencil with you.
whatever you need
Yeah.
to do. I mean,
put it in
writing
your,
the
phone.
idea of writing it down allows you to get it out.
Yeah.
Because for some people that's part of it is just it's inside and you want to get it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea of writing it down. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is.
So let's hear what then Dr. Ellen has to say and on this episode of Light Her Fire.
Here's a wonderful little game that will change your negative mood into a positive one. Pick a time when you and your mate are acting negatively toward one another. Decide that whoever says something negative has to kiss the other person. Sometimes my husband and I will start out in a bad mood and I'll say, okay, let's play the negative game, and from the looks of things, we're going to be making out all day. Trust me, this game will put you in a playful mood. I want you also to be aware that when you have negative thoughts, it creates negative energy, which in turn produces negative events in your life.
So this is so true.
Yeah.
The idea that we say all these negative statements and you really don't need to.
Yeah.
Just like with a child, you just with your significant other, you just
totally
don't.
agree. And it's also it's interesting because like as I said earlier, it's like how you phrase what you're trying to get across. Because sometimes you get in the heat of an argument and you want to. I don't call names. I'm not a big name caller at all. But if someone's being really crazy about something, look, you're acting crazy right now. Like, I'm just saying right now. I think I literally did this. I might have mentioned this in the previous episode, but I did this to a friend of mine. It wasn't a girlfriend, but it was a friend, a female friend, and she's just going off on me about something. I'm like, I don't understand. I really didn't understand what was going on. So I said, look, let me know when you're done being crazy, and we'll talk about
How'd
this
that
later.
go?
She got mad for a week, but the next week she apologized, and we never had a fight like that ever after that because I didn't cave into her.
Well,
negative
you're acting
emotions.
Crazy. Maybe it's better than
it was
saying
better than that. Yeah, obviously
you are crazy.
I didn't say you're. I said, yeah. Let me know when you're done being crazy,
Right.
and then we'll talk after that because I can't deal with you right now on this level.
Right.
And she got frustrated with me, but then ultimately realized. She told me, she goes,
I was being crazy.
I was being a brat. I'm sorry.
Right.
I tend to be that, and it just made sense. And I appreciated her coming back and telling me that.
Right.
And I think she appreciated me saying, not engaging with her, arguing and telling her negative stuff. Stop
Which,
being this
I mean,
way.
you're not going to play the negative game and kiss somebody other than your significant other.
Yeah,
but the idea
yeah,
that
yeah.
you can do that and play some sort of game about it doesn't make it fun. I do remember, too, it wasn't a game, but we actually had these bracelets. Or, I'm sorry, it was a rubber band. And every time you say something negative, you got to snap it. And so you're actually like kind of, learning to not snap yourself. And so I did that for like a week, and my of course my wrists were totally red from myself.
That's funny.
I had to switch it into the other wrist because it was hurting so bad.
Yeah. The good thing it wasn't an eye patch. It's an interesting. I had an ex girlfriend from a long time ago. Also, if we got into an argument or we were debating something, she grabbed my hand and held my hand while she was upset. And I thought it really threw me off because we were all in the heat of the moment. And we were sitting there like,
So that
upset.
helped her calm
It helped calm me too. Like we both were kind of getting
versus
heated.
grabbing your hand and smacking you.
Yeah, she didn't like grab my hand and punch myself with it, but she
That'd be
grabbed my hand and
sweet.
held it like you would if you were just
Get that on video.
Yeah, exactly. I got you. But no, it was like kind of a really interesting way to handle the fact that we were angry, but yet we still loved each other.
Right.
So it was a nice touch. I thought that was
Interesting.
kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Most people would be able to do that. I mean,
It's hard.
In the heat of an argument, if my wife grabbed my hand, I'd be thinking she's going to hit me. Or, I mean, I don't know.
Or she thought, yeah.
We've never done that. We've never
Right.
hit each other, but I
No.
would imagine the physical touch part would be a little awkward.
If you're really in the heated moment, I get it. But like, I don't know, we were in a car and debating something, blah, 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 and then she just reached out and was upset still, but grabbed my hand, like held onto my
Did
hand.
her fingernails dig
No,
into
it wasn't like she
your
was
arm?
grabbing my hand and trying to draw blood.
Right.
But it was an interesting touch. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. So that was Light Her Fire.
Yeah.
And now I've got quote of the day.
Okay.
So as I said in the beginning of the episode, the quote of the day is from the famous Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, the father of the automobile.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And as I said, I saw this the other day, and it reminded me that this was in a classroom.
Yeah.
Like I think literally like elementary school. And I remembered it, and I said, wow, because I remember that being a really cool quote even when I was young.
Yeah.
And thinking that, like, wow, this is kind of impactful. So, and it says, quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you are right.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Very Yoda-esque.
It's very Yoda. Henry was the original Yoda.
Yeah, but it's the whole idea even of negative thoughts, whether it's to yourself, or we're talking about negativity towards others, but also negativity towards yourself.
Yeah.
And the idea of saying, hey, even if you don't think that you can do something or whatever, you're not gonna.
Yeah. You set your own limitations at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the idea is just, hey, why don't you just think you can?
Yeah.
You're better off.
Absolutely.
So
I like it.
Any other last words?
No, I think we're good.
No, good. So that's the closing, and I think we're going to have another episode very soon.
Yes. Stay tuned.
So wait for that. If anybody has any feedback, questions, anything, they can reach us at podcast@dudestodads.com. Mm-hmm. Also, if you are in the San Diego area, Alan, you're helping people with podcasts.
Yeah, I guess
that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I'm kind of doing this on the side, but it's something that I like to do.
That's awesome.
It's a marketing tactic too.
Yeah,
so
if
you
anybody
need marketing help from either Jason or I.
Yeah, well, if anybody needs podcast help, I do say Alan is quite good at that.
Yeah, thanks.
And so, and that's from the equipment to setting up and do that. I like to talk and do that part of the stuff, but even being in the internet marketing world, I leave the technical stuff up to the master. So
yeah. I also built the track in the beginning.
That's right. The music
and the
was
one
yours
that we'll be playing
as
shortly.
well. Okay, well that's good. We'll leave it at that. In fact, on the way out, this is Alan, an original score by Alan H. Bush. See you guys.
See ya.